So I'm back with Kristan Vermeulen, the host of Makers of Maine. Kristan, again, welcome back. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining me.
you.
And yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to get into the experience. You're a small business owner in Maine, doing a lot of these great things. And you had your interview recently with Rose Barboza. I wanted to play a portion of that episode from our viewers, which I found quite fascinating. Here it is.
I did. I was actually visited Maryland a lot during the winter, and considered that maybe to be like a cool in between, not too hot, not too cold, place to
Right.
live. But I did notice that small businesses weren't celebrated the way that they're celebrated in Maine. Maine is very much small businesses are the whole economy for the most part. You can go to some chains here and there, so it's like and be in and what I was saying earlier, but always feeling like I wanted to escape. This was finally my chance to say, you know what? Let me actually try to make a difference where I am instead of
Right.
trying to run away somewhere different, especially in a place that entrepreneurial or entrepreneurship is thriving here. People
Right.
people love to support any local business they possibly can.
Exactly. I agree with that.
I just found it interesting that she said that she's had, Rose that is, has had more support up in Maine, relative to what would have been happening if she had her stuff in Maryland. So tell me more about your experience being a small business owner in Maine, and talk about her experience a little bit as well. And I guess, what advice would you have for our folks here in Maryland in terms of being business friendly amid this global pandemic, and especially once we get out of it?
Sure. It's kind of crazy because I'm a Maryland native. So it's kind of funny that Maine has turned me into a Mainer now. So, what I would say is Maine has allowed me to start my own business due to the connections that I've made. So, when I moved up here a couple years ago, I actually was the PR manager. PR and social media manager for a company called Cbax, which is very well known. They're known nationwide. And Beth Schisler, who's the president there, gave me an opportunity to be a consultant of theirs because I was having a baby at the time. I couldn't support them 110% as an internal employee. She said, we want to keep you. So, we'll give you a consulting job and you can kind of just be our PR consultant on the side. And I said, okay. So at first I was like, all right, I'm just going to stick with that. And I kind of grew from there and I wanted to start my own PR business. So here I am now. And I feel like the network here allows for that. And then your network builds and then you gain resources, then you gain clients, and it just continues from there. And it's truly remarkable. Like my website, for instance, for my business was built by my colleague, Becky McKinnell, who was interviewed on my podcast. And she owns I Bet Creative, which is a digital agency. So it is truly amazing to have a network like that and to really have an established group here. So that's my experience. Now with Rose in particular, I see that she found a niche. She found a niche that best meets her community. She wanted to showcase the Black community here and the businesses that support that and the businesses that need to grow in this community and give them the resources that they need. And I find that she probably, I'm not speaking for her, but she probably had a similar experience that I did in a way that you find opportunity, you find that niche and you go for it. And I feel like that happens with a lot of people here. For instance, with the flag company that I interviewed, they found a niche, they went for it. Clean Beauty with Salty Girl Beauty found a niche, they went for it. And it's all about the networking, it's all about the resources, all about the build. So I find that Maine definitely gives all entrepreneurs that opportunity. I would say from the pandemic standpoint, and after the pandemic hopefully subsides, I feel as though that will continue here in Maine. I feel like even though people have gone downhill from the pandemic, those businesses that have gone downhill, they'll pick right back up. There are a lot of state resources that are happening right now and giving out loans to these small businesses, which has been super helpful. But it's just some, it's not all. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Not every state is perfect, But what I would say is giving advice to the native state that I'm from is expand upon your resources to these small businesses. Allow for this network to be built. I feel like there are many networks all over the place, but Maryland is such a bit much of a bigger state than Maine is. I feel like there's a lot of there's the DMV area, it's Maryland, DC, like all this stuff, and it needs to all come together. Maine, such a small world. Like this person knows that person, knows this person, knows that person. It's just how it is here, and it's the culture. I feel like Maryland's culture, I don't think we'll ever get to that point, but I feel as though that their small business community can grow. It's just a matter of establishing those resources and really finding that network and growing it. So that's my thoughts on that.
Wonderful. I think that looking at and going back to one of the things that we mentioned in the show about the fact that over 90% of businesses in Maine are small businesses. If this pandemic continues, and quite candidly, I'm of the firm belief that this pandemic is not going to subside until I would say at least 2022. If we're really thinking about like at the time that it will take to get the vaccine and
Right.
everything else and all of the schedules already being upended as it is, I think that 2022 is when we'll start to see things go back to normal. But let's just say I'm wrong, for example. Let's just say that okay, next year things start to go back. The fear is that we're going to lose a lot, like Maine that is going to lose a lot of their small businesses if things are not worked out the way that they're supposed to. Do you have a concern about that?
I would say yes. I feel like our state is already running out of funds due to unemployment and the PPP loans and what have you to support these small business and makers. So I would say it's really up to the federal government to really give us the resources and providing those grants now for these small businesses because our state can only do so much. I know some small businesses here are wanting to open up their doors completely and do 100% capacity. And honestly, I feel like it's not safe right now. And a lot of people here can't speak for everybody, but I feel like we're doing things an appropriate way in this state to keep us safe. So I feel like the regulations the governor's put in place is allowing folks to be comfortable. So I would say that it will hurt definitely in the long run. And I hope these small businesses do stay afloat. I guess we'll see what happens. It's really an unknown.
Absolutely. Kristan Vermeulen, host of Makers of Maine, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Eugene.
Hey, thanks so much for watching this short clip. Listen, if you want to check out the full episode, be sure to check out the links over there. And remember, we will not be silenced.